An arrogant scientist discovers a way to make matter invisible, but he wants to take his experiment further and test it on himself. The only problem is that he won't be able to reverse it. That's why today on the Summarizer, the Hollow Man. This is the story of the scientist Sebastian Caine, who besides spying on his neighbor, spends his time experimenting on animals to make them invisible, and now he's looking for a way to reverse the effect, or as he calls it, the reversion. Using a computer, he tries different methods, but he fails one after the other, and when he seems to be super stressed, he comes up with the formula, and it seems to be the perfect one. After that, he calls Linda, who is another scientist working with him. There he tells her about his discovery and asks her for a meeting in the lab because he wants to start testing. And when they hang up, we see that the woman goes straight to wake up a man who is in her bed, and it turns out that he's her co-worker Matthew, although their relationship is a secret. When Sebastian arrives at his lab, he runs into his partner, the one dating Linda, because Isabel, the invisible gorilla that he was trying to sedate for the experiment, has escaped. And here we are also shown that in order to see the invisible animals, they use thermal cameras and goggles with the same technology. Finally, we meet Sarah, who's the team's veterinarian, and it seems that she is very angry with Caine for the way he treats the animals. However, he doesn't mind, and they proceed with all the preparations to inject the gorilla with the new serum he discovered. The experiment turns out to be a success, even though Isabel almost dies, but what matters is that the invisibility effect is reversed, and the gorilla seems to have all her vital signs in order. To celebrate the achievement, the whole team goes to dinner at a luxurious restaurant, and for a moment, Linda and Sebastian separate from the rest to talk. There we learn that they were once a couple, and as much as he wants to try again, she's no longer interested in him. But this is not important because now he has to show his discovery to army generals who fund his work, although he lies to them saying that he still has no way to reverse it, and that's why he needs more time. And when he leaves his meeting, he tells Linda and Matt that he asked for more time because he wants to start with phase 3. That means he wants to test it on humans. That's why they return to the lab to be able to make a group decision, but he convinces everyone to agree with his idea. He also proposes to test the serum on himself so he can be invisible for 3 days and collect the necessary information to be able to apply it on other people. The next day, they begin all the arrangements, starting with him saying goodbye to his reflection in order to follow all the necessary protocols to finally be able to inject him with the invisibility serum. And although at first it seems to have no effect, and they even want to do it all over again, suddenly the serum starts to work, but the process is totally painful and makes his heart almost explode. But in the end, everything goes as planned, although Sebastian ends up unconscious from the shock. Later he wakes up and everything seems to be perfect, but to make sure of the results, they have to monitor him all the time, and for that, someone has to do the night shift. Sarah offers to stay on watch though, but she falls asleep as soon as she's alone, but the worst happens when Sebastian takes advantage of his invisibility and touches her while she sleeps. Then she just wakes up and isn't sure if it was something she dreamt or not, but she still tells her colleagues about it. So the girls start to feel less safe because they don't know when Sebastian might be watching them, and he even proposes Linda to sleep together just for the experience of doing it with someone invisible. She just turns him down though and doesn't think much of it. Later, the 3 days pass, so they inject him with the reversion. The problem is that it isn't having the effect they expect, and on top of that, it almost kills Sebastian because he has trouble breathing. So the experiment ends up failing and he remains invisible, even though this doesn't stop them from looking for a new solution that works on humans. And to make things easier, they put him in a latex mask and clothes to make Sebastian visible. The days go by and it seems that the tests become more and more unbearable for our protagonist, but at the same time, he's very interested in making his experiment a success, so he has all the credit. At night, he decides he doesn't want to be locked up as an animal, so he escapes, ignoring his own rules, and Carter, who was on guard that night, tells Linda that he's gone. And meanwhile, Sebastian goes home enjoying his freedom singing in his car. When he arrives at the apartment, he sees his neighbor again, goes to visit her, and ends up abusing her. But Linda, who had gone to look for him, finds his clothes and his mask. However, at that moment, he sees her from his neighbor's window and stays hidden until she leaves. After that, she goes to warn the whole team, and they'll have to go out to look for him because they don't want to put the whole experiment in danger. But just at that moment, Sebastian arrives as if nothing happened. Then Linda threatens him to tell what he's doing to the committee to shut down his research, but he just tells her that he's still the boss boss, and if she does something like that, it will ruin her career. Then they put that aside, and now it's Frank's turn for the night shift. Sebastian tells him he's gonna be in the lab for a while, but it's just an excuse to get some stuff out so he can modify the thermal camera, and this way he gets out even though the camera shows he's still in bed. There he goes to spy on Linda and discovers that she's dating Matthew, and this makes him so angry that he breaks the glass, and even though they go to see outside, they can't see anyone. There Linda calls Frank to check if he's in his room. He just says he's still in bed, and she calms down even though she's not so sure. And on top of that, Sebastian arrives so angry at the lab that he kills a dog they were using for experiments. The next morning, Sarah's watching the animals and realizes that the dog is dead, so she and the others check Caine's camera, but to no use because it looks like he was there all night. When Linda's working at home, she starts to hear noises and she's so scared that she goes straight to the labs to verify on her own if the invisible man is still in his room, even though the camera shows him there. And it's then that she discovers that he's actually not there. Immediately, she calls the whole team to tell them that with Matt, they're going to tell the committee what Sebastian was hiding from them, but they shouldn't worry because they're gonna take all the responsibility. When they arrive at the house of one of the generals, we see that Sebastian heard what they were going to do and followed them. So they finish the meeting and the general tells them that they better leave and he'll take care of the rest. The problem is that when he tries to call the other generals, the phone doesn't work, so he goes out for a smoke, but he didn't realize that he wasn't alone. And finally, Sebastian throws him into the pool to be the first human kill of the movie. On the other hand, the team is already working again and waiting for the committee to give them an answer, although Linda doesn't think it's normal for them to take so long to communicate. So she calls the man they went to see the day before and finds out that he drowned. So now she wants to go see the other generals, but the only way out is the elevator, which has a key that activates it. But this time, neither her key nor Matt's key work, so they ask Frank for help to search the security system to see if there's any failure. And there they realize that they're trapped because all their codes were erased except for Sebastian Caine's. So they all go to look for him, but he's gone, and they don't realize that one of their teammates was left behind. When the others arrive at Sebastian's room, he warns them that instead of trying to convince him to turn himself in, it would be better to look for their friend. And they listen to him, but it's too late because they only find her dead body. And so they begin to think of a plan to capture him, and for that, they use the sensors while Matt and Carter go to look for him. But their plan is useless because their thermal goggles confuse the heat of the human body with the heat of the steam coming out of the pipes, and Sebastian takes advantage of this to hurt Carter and leave him dying. And the situation gets even worse when he's got Matthew in a corner and his girlfriend has to go and help him. Meanwhile, Sarah and Frank go to look for Carter, but Sarah realizes that if they don't get some blood, he will die soon. The problem is that she goes alone, and Sebastian takes advantage of this moment to follow her. There she realizes that she's not alone, and to be able to see where Sebastian is, she uses the blood to stain him, even though he's much stronger, and ends up killing her. After that, Linda and Matt meet Frank, who tells him that Sarah left because otherwise his friend was gonna die, but it took so long and he's already dead. So the three survivors go in search of Sarah to the area where she was supposed to be. They inspect the area, and with the help of a fire extinguisher, they check if Sebastian's with them. At first they see nothing, but a trail of blood leads them to a refrigerator where the body of their colleague is. But in an oversight, Sebastian kills Frank from behind. And even though Matt tries to fight him off, Sebastian cuts him and locks him with Linda in the fridge. Luckily, the wound didn't touch any organs, so he's not in danger of dying, and Linda can close the wound with some duct tape. In the meantime, Sebastian goes to get ready with his latex mask, a wig, and whatever he needs to look like a normal person again. But he also prepares a bomb and leaves a liquid in a machine that in a few minutes will make everything explode. What he didn't expect is that Linda will use a machine to make a kind of magnet so she can get out of the refrigerator and go get him, but not before leaving her boyfriend in heat so he can recover. In order to protect herself, she grabs some gas she can use as a flamethrower and just finds him when he was in the elevator about to leave, but she manages to burn him and stop the elevator. There he gets out, starts to take off his clothes, and escapes when she runs out of gas. However, Linda activates the fire sprinklers so the water shows where Sebastian is. The problem is that he attacks her from behind, but when he's about to kill her, Matt appears with a pipe and hits him, although he makes the mistake of leaving him instead of finishing with Caine once and for all. And as soon as he turns back, the invisible man gets up and grabs the pipe to kill them, but ends up stuck to some wires that electrocute him and make the effect of invisibility reversed, but not completely. They take advantage of that moment to leave, but when they pass by the laboratory, they realize that they have little time left because the substance that Sebastian put in the machine will destroy the whole place. That's when they head to the elevator and remember that they had seen a ladder through which they can escape. And just when everything explodes, they manage to go up even though the explosion made the elevator go up and almost kill them. But the worst thing is that Sebastian was on top of the elevator and grabbed Linda by surprise that made the elevator continue to fall and break parts of the ladder, leaving the couple separated. And there, Sebastian tries to kiss her, but she takes advantage of that distraction to grab the cable that held the elevator and press the lever to unhook it, ending once and for all with Dr. Caine and all of his experiment. And although no animals were harmed during the filming, they were also killed a mouse who was eaten by a gorilla at the start of the film, a fly that Sebastian Caine crushed with his hand in the middle of the film, and a dog who's messily beaten to death by Sebastian Caine also in the middle of the film. So the final kill count is 6, and if you want to count the animals, it would be a total of 9. Keep the number you like the most, okay?
Oh, okay.
That was The Hollow Man. Don't forget to subscribe and comment which movies or series you'd like me to summarize and make a kill count. See you later.
Go to work.
Okay. Bye.